not taking notes, you need to check your pulse. Right? You need to check your pulse. Man, I got like 3 pages of notes back there. That was good stuff. This next speaker is the reason why you guys are all here, right? Because 10 years ago, he decided to go out and change his life, right? From him. Yeah, it's my son. We gotta do something about that hat, bro. Anyway, this is probably America's next $1 million earners. My friend, my brother, our fearless leader, Ian Prukner.
What's up, people? High five your neighbor, tell them I'm relentless tonight. All right, have a seat. Let's get going. Man, I'm fired up. Coop did a great job. All the speakers did a great job. But, man, I'm just so fired up about where we are today. And I was just sitting, you know, I just got to brag on Primerica a little bit, you know, for all the people who told me it wasn't going to work and I shouldn't do it. And why are you leaving the ministry and all these things that they told me. See, it doesn't just happen to you. It happens to all of us. Spencer, if you can take this down a little bit, that'd be good. And I was just... Man, I woke up today, I did a conference call, I hung out in my backyard for a little while, I read a book, I ate some food, I came to the office to eat some more food with Don and Travis.
You're working too hard.
And I just was snapping this picture. I'm like, man, you gotta love Primerica in the summertime. I'm so thankful I'm not locked behind a desk in some office building today. Like everybody else, you saw all that traffic out there coming here, right? All those people today in this beautiful day, a lot of you today, you are locked in some building somewhere, behind some desk, taking the one life you have and trading it for dollars. I was like, thank you, God, that I didn't do that. Thank you that I had you had created enough discontent in me that I was willing to take a shot doing something different. And you're all willing to take a shot doing something different. That's why this is not normal. At 7:30 on a Friday night, you're in here learning how to change your life. That's not normal, is it, right? All your buddies, man, they're living for the weekend. And you're living to create a life that you don't know when it's the weekend. You don't know when it's the weekend. They're living for vacation. You're building a life you never need a vacation from. Every day is a vacation. How awesome is that? What a place that you can come and you can build, listen, for 3 to 5 years, and I believe it's even less time than that now, to be totally financially independent. Man, you might not need $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. You get 150 coming in every year and you don't got to work for it and you're set. I don't know what it is for you, but you have the chance here to really do something special and to take your family literally decades forward in a matter of 12 to 24 months. And that's a big deal, right? And, you know, this is... So I just saw this 5 minutes ago sitting back there. My Facebook is blown up. I'm like, what is this? This is one of my idols in the company. Shane Rudman, before Mario Arizon, was the fastest guy in the history of the company to $1 million a year in income. And Shane got, I don't know if it's lupus or Lyme disease or something he got, but Shane Rudman hadn't worked since like 1993. He'd been in and out of the hospital. Young, he was 29 when he went over the million. And then he's just had health challenges for 20 years. And he got on some sort of new medication, and this dude is like on fire. And this is what he said to me. He says, Ian Prukner, I'm so proud of what you're doing. I'm going to copy and steal all I can from you. I'll come see you sometime before fall. I know you'll go over $1 million in income in June. I challenge you to be the fastest from $1 million to $2 million. I'm not sure what that is, but it wouldn't take long to find out. I'm helping 12 get to $1 million a year in income within 36 months from August. I'm going to go for $1 million a month. Wow. All you young kids have broken all my records, so it's time to go set something new. If you're willing to do the work, you can get there with me. Most relax as they approach $1 million a year in income. I'm challenging you to push through it. God needs us to funnel more into the kingdom. And I think about what a place. I grew up in this business listening to Shane Rudman's talks, right? And man, if I could only be like him one day. And 10 years later, these people are my friends. They're peers. And at your job, who's telling you they want you to make $1 million a month? Come do it with me. It'll be fun. I mean, it's kind of a crazy place, right? Some of you can't even wrap your head around it, right? But these are the people you're in business with. This is what sold me on Primerica, you all. When I saw the top people at this company, you know, the top people at your company, they're divorced 4, 5, 6, and 7 times. They're alcoholics. They got all sorts of personal problems. They got all sorts of issues. Why? Because they sold their life to that job. And they call you them VP or president or manager. Greg told me something once. He said, the guys at EY that are partners, they retire with $400,000 or $500,000 a year pensions, and they collect for how long?
7 years.
7 years. Now you're a CPA. That's a real number. That's a statistic. They're only live for 7 years after they stop. They made all the money in the world, but they ain't around to get it. Why? Because there's the time and the effort and the energy. And I see people like Shane Rudman, right, and Bobby Buisson that you're going to meet. This dude's worth $750 million. Bobby Buisson is coming here. $750 million. Married to the same lady. His kids are coming with them. They love their mom and dad. They've got great families. They're great grandparents. I mean, isn't that unbelievable? Greg says, of course they love their mom and dad. But I got to see people like this, and I said, if I can end up like these people, still married to the same person, still in love, still fired up about life, still going somewhere, still dreaming after making all that money and doing all those things, I'll be a happy man. And these are the people you're surrounding yourself. Folks, it's not just about the money that you're going to make here. Please don't misunderstand what Primerica is about. It's about the person that you become along the path that lets you be successful in every area of your life and pass that success down to kids and to grandkids. Some of you working hard right now, and you're like, man, I don't get to spend as much time with my kids as I want to. It's coming. There will be a day when your spouse will ask you, do you want to go to work today? You should get out of here, right? I've seen you too much. There's a time coming for that. But you got to understand the people you're in business with. So my talk tonight is change your thinking and change your life. And I'm fired up about this, right? So listen to this, and I'm going to give you a title of a book here and a couple other books that are resources. But look at this. So unless you want to miss out on amazing opportunities, you better make sure your mind is programmed to think anything is possible. Otherwise, the opportunity of a lifetime can go right past you. This is the opportunity of your dadgum life here, folks. This is the real deal. This is not soap, buy a bunch, right? Stick it in your garage and hope you become a millionaire. This is the real deal. But some of you are going to let this go right by you because you're not aware of the opportunity, because your mind doesn't think anything's possible. Seriously, I want you to ask yourself today, do you really believe that anything is possible? See, I joined this business at 23 years old. I'm making $27,000 a year. Had no skills, no habits, nothing that I needed to win in this business other than a drive to change my life. And look what happened to me. Look what happened to me. You got to be at least as good as I was. You got to be at least coming from the background like that. So listen, thoughts become things. Thoughts become things, you all. Everything that has ever been, listen to this, or ever will be, first existed in the mind. See this chair right here? It's a nice chair. Somebody thought that chair up before they put it into production. That chair was in somebody's mind at some point before they made it. Somebody had to draw that chair, make the specifications, send it to somebody who could manufacture it. That chair existed in its exact detail. The exact finish, the exact pattern, in exact detail first in the mind of somebody before it was brought into reality that you see it now. And that's how your dreams are, folks. That's how your dreams are. They got to exist in your mind first in exact detail before you can bring it into reality. How are you going to build a chair when you don't have the blueprint to manufacture it? How are you going to build your dreams when you don't have the blueprint in your mind to manufacture it? See, the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. See, this is not some new theory. This has been around for thousands of years. As you think, so you are. You think big, you get big. You think small, you get small. Either way, you get what you're thinking about. Henry Ford said it best, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Some of you think you can't win in this business and you've already been defeated. And some of you are crazy enough to think, man, if I follow the system and plug in, I can win here. And you know what? You're right too. You're right too. You get a choice of how your outcome's going to be tonight. You get a choice. Am I going to believe in the possibilities or am I going to believe in the doubt and the negativities? See, it's the same mind going in two different directions. Okay? So there's a book called The Ant and the Elephant you need to get. And it talks about our subconscious mind. So I'm going to get a little deep on you here, okay? But if you follow along, I promise you it's going to be worth it. The ant and the elephant. See, in the battle between an ant and an elephant, get a picture in your mind of a tug of war between an ant and an elephant. Who's going to win that war? The elephant. Why? The elephant is so much more massive. Well, see, the ant and the elephant is the picture of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. You know, science says when you have a conscious thought, some 2,000 neurons in your mind fire. Some of you looking at me right now, you're like, I don't know if I like that guy. 2,000 neurons just fired in your brain, right? But in the subconscious thought, when a subconscious thought happens, over 2 billion neurons are firing in your brain. Look at those numbers. It's 10,000 to 1. 10,000 to 1, the power of the subconscious mind over the conscious mind. How many of you have ever made a New Year's resolution that you didn't keep? That's called the power of the subconscious mind. See, consciously you wanted to change. You wanted to stop smoking. You wanted to lose weight. You wanted to get up earlier. Your mind at the conscious level says, I choose this. But the subconscious mind says, I've been programmed for this. And you can try that you might, but you ain't ever going to change that until you get the ant and the elephant moving in the same direction. You understand that? You can will yourself all day long, but eventually you'll go back to exactly the way that you are at your deepest point of being. So the car example is this, right? How many of you have ever driven to someplace new? Okay? And you put it in a map. Now, if you drove there 10 or 15 times, pretty soon you wouldn't need the map.
Right.
You'd be able to get there. Okay? Think about your house. The first time you drove to wherever you moved to, you had to go look at it. You took a MapQuest. You're a realtor, right? You MapQuest all the time. But you don't MapQuest to your house, right? Why? Because your subconscious mind has accepted the directions, and it now operates. In fact, you can talk on the phone, make a deal, stop and get food, do whatever else you're doing, look at all the cars around you, pay attention to this, that, sing your favorite song on the radio, and somehow you still get there. How many of you ever drove somewhere and you're like, I don't remember even driving there? That is exactly what I'm talking about. Your subconscious mind will allow you to drive a 5,000-pound machine 60 miles an hour doing 12 different things and still get you where you told it to go. It's still going to get you where you told it to go. See, the subconscious mind doesn't make decisions. It acts on information that it's given. So if you want to change your life, you got to change your thoughts. Okay? And I'm going to show you this in a second. So this is a book I'm reading right now. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best books I've read in a long time. It's called The Power of Consistency. It's by a guy named Weldon Long. This guy was in jail for 10 years. Came out of jail, homeless, and now has a $50 million a year company. Okay? Changed his life. Went from the bottom of the bottom to the top, doing exactly what I'm talking about here. It's one of the best books. He says this, now consider this question. Could you drive to that same house without thinking about the directions the first time you ever drove there? No. Right? If you're driving somewhere and you got to think about the directions, you probably needed a map, a GPS, or someone to give you step-by-step instructions on how to get there. Yet after making a few trips, you can complete this goal without a conscious thought. So it follows that you could consciously work on other things, and your subconscious mind, once programmed with the directions, will safely and reliably get you exactly where you want to be. The same power that gets you to drive home tonight talking on the phone and you ain't paying attention is the same power that can get you to regional vice president, can get you to 200, 300, 400, 500,000 in income. See, most of you just haven't told your subconscious mind, I want you to take me here. You're going wherever it leads you. Somebody at your job says something that offends you, and you're just going off emotions. You're not going by direction. But see, you got to program it. So here's the pattern, folks. Thoughts become emotions, become actions, become results. Most people try to change their life by changing their what? I'm going to go to the gym every day. And you do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but 6 months later, where are you not? In the gym. Because you consciously thought, if I change my actions, I'll change my results. And you might for a little while. But sooner or later, that subconscious programming that doesn't value health and nutrition, that doesn't value long life, that doesn't really believe that that's the best interest for you, is going to pull you back to where you came from. Man, I wish I could stop getting angry at my kids, but you just keep going back. Why? Because at the subconscious level, that's what you're programmed to do. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. So if you want to change your results, you got to change your thoughts, which change your emotions, that change your actions reliably and consistently. See, why do people struggle to change? They're trying to change their behavior without trying to change their thoughts. Some of you stood up, you said, man, I'm going to do one app. You can count on me. And you might do one app, but next month you ain't going to do the app. Why? Because you don't believe you're supposed to win. You're changing your action. I want to help those kids, but I don't believe like those kids deserve something. I deserve something. So next month you can't repeat. And the month after that you can't repeat. So you change your action, but you didn't change your thought. You got to change your thoughts. I love what Coop was talking about, man. I was fired up back there. He's changing his thoughts. He's telling his subconscious mind all those things so that when he gets pushed, that's what comes out naturally. See, he says, now consider this. This is a mind blower right here, folks. Your emotions and actions are reflections of your thoughts. So even if the thoughts are what? Inaccurate. The emotion that follows is real. Stop and think about that. They use an example. There were two friends that got in a car accident. One died, one was badly mangled, and they couldn't tell the difference between the bodies. So they had both families there, right? And the best they could, the hospital tried to identify who these two girls were. And the one that died, they told the family, man, this girl, she passed away, and that family was heartbroken. They had a funeral, all these things. The other one, right, they was in ICU, burned beyond recognition. I mean, they could tell, but they said she might get better. And that family was there at the hospital every day for months and months and months. Well, eventually that girl got healed enough. This is a true story, right, that he's using in the book. Got healed enough that the family noticed this isn't our girl. The parents of the girl who thought she was alive had died. And the parents of the girl who they thought died was alive. But the emotions of those families were totally real. When they thought their daughter had died, the emotions, the grief, that was all real. But what happened? The opposite. Right? That's a drastic example, but think about that. Your thought is inaccurate, that you're not good enough to win. But the way you feel when you didn't get that sale is real, isn't it? Your thought's inaccurate, but it's creating a real emotion. And because the emotion is real, the actions and results are likewise real. Therefore, it is completely possible to create a real emotion and a real action based on an entirely false thought. Isn't that something? Some of you don't think you're supposed to win. Some of you think you're here on accident. Some of you think, I could never be like John Cooper. I could never be like him. And you have false thoughts that are making real emotions and real actions and creating real results. How much longer are you going to accept wrong thinking about yourself and who you're supposed to be and where you're going to go? Because it's manifesting real thoughts and real actions in your life. See, our brains are computers. We act instinctively based on the operating system or programming that we've been given. We act instinctively. We attract what we think about. Good or bad. You attract what you think about, good or bad. So you think about and you bring about. That's why you got to watch what goes into your mind. You got to watch what you're thinking about. Okay? Most never think about what they're thinking about. Some of you thinking, I'm hungry. Get out of here, right? Okay? But seriously, when's the last time you thought about what you should be thinking about? Man, I shouldn't think that thought. Right? Some of you know I used to be a hypochondriac, right? I'd be thinking I was sick all the time, right? I'd end up in the emergency room. Half my body was numb. I'm thinking I'm having a stroke because I just watched on ER the person that had the stroke. 5 minutes later, I'm like, uh-oh, I'm having a stroke, right? I'm ending up in ER with real reactions to a thought that wasn't right. Right? You understand that? I got so fed up after a little while, right? I use what the Bible talks about, renewing your mind. So you can't get rid of a thought, you got to replace the thought. Right? So I'd have this thought, I don't feel good. Right? And I replace it. I said, that's not my thought. Right? And I would quote different scriptures over. I replaced the thought. Right? I was in the emergency room 4 times in a year for this, folks. 4 times a year. I got so tired of it, I started keeping track. 300 to 400 times a day. I would say to myself, that didn't feel right. This is weird. I probably have this. 300 to 400 times a day that I thought about what I was thinking about. I replaced those thoughts, right? Okay? So have you ever purposely programmed yourself? Let me ask you that. Have you ever purposely programmed yourself where you said, this is the outcome I want, so I'm going to force myself to start thinking about that outcome and the way to get to that outcome? How many of you have ever done that? Okay? Part of a few of you in this room. Okay? So listen. You say, well, I've never done that, but I'm getting these results. When you were young, people programmed you. Well-meaning, but maybe not where you wanted to go. Your parents, pastors, teachers, they have shaped the programming that you have, right? Okay? If you have not, you have been programmed by other people. Okay? Some of that programming is not getting you where you want it to take you in life. Yes or yes? So you got to get rid of that, right? So he says this. He says, think inside your box and get your mind right. Ralph Waldo Emerson says we become what we think about all day long. And he uses an example, okay, of having a motorcycle all taken apart in a box. All the parts, the instructions. If you take out the parts of the motorcycle and you follow the instructions, will you build a dollhouse? What will you build? Seems very basic. What's in your mind and the instructions in your mind are building what you have. Didn't build a dollhouse. What you have is built from what's in here. Do you understand that? Yes. Nothing else. So if you change what's in here, you change what comes out of there. Do you get that? Everybody understanding? Once you program the directions to reach a particular goal into your subconscious mind, it will work on it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to reach the destination. Remember the ant and the elephant? You got the elephant running in the direction that you want to. You ever met somebody, everything they touch turns to gold? Right? Boom. That's what that is. 24/7, 365 days a year. That subconscious mind is running 1,000,000 miles an hour in the direction of their most dominant thoughts and dreams, right? You ever met somebody, everything they touch turns to crap? It's the same thing. It's just going in reverse. It's just going in reverse, right? Think about that. Isn't that powerful? How many of you ever woke up in the middle of the night with an answer to something you've been thinking about for a little while, right? You wake up and you're like, dang, I just dreamed that thing up. That's your subconscious. You ain't even thinking about it, and poof, that answer is there, right? This is why you cannot focus on creating abundance, prosperity, and excellence in your business and accidentally create scarcity, struggle, and mediocrity. If you got scarcity, struggle, and mediocrity, let me tell you something today. That's in your head right now. I don't know if I can keep this going. I don't know who I'm going to call. I'm running out of people. There's no people to talk to. I'm afraid of chargeback. I don't blah, 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 blah. And guess what you get? No people, chargeback, nobody picks up their phone. Okay? Or you're thinking about, man, I'm going to have 50 people here next month, and then I'm going to have 80, and then I'm going to have 100, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and guess what starts happening? Your team starts building. See, you can't focus on this and get that. What you focus on grows. Over the course of your sales and business career, you accumulate, listen, expectations, thoughts, attitude, beliefs, choices, and decisions. The first word there is you accumulate what? Expectations. How many of you really expect to have a phenomenal month end? No. I'm talking about no shadow of a doubt. You know it's going to be phenomenal. Raise it. Okay. A few of you, the rest of you, you guys are telling the truth, aren't you? Right? You have that little doubt inside. And what you're expecting is what you're creating. Do you understand? Well, how do I change my expectations? I'll get to that in a second. Be patient, grasshopper. See, your emotions are not always a reflection of facts or what is actually true. They simply manifest what you believe to be true. What you think isn't always consistent with the facts and objective reality. And because of this, reality is sometimes irrelevant. This guy was in jail. He was a felon. He ain't supposed to have a job, so guess what? He didn't want a job. He just went and built a $50 million company instead. The facts were irrelevant. He's not supposed to win. But the facts don't matter. Right? Because an inaccurate thought creates a real emotion. Right? Some of you might have nobody here. You don't have any appointments set up between now and then. If you think the right way, guess how much that matters right now? 0. if you think the right way. If you get your expectations and your belief going in the right direction, none of that matters right now. You can make that happen out of nothing. Okay? He says this, we can rarely separate what we feel from what we do, and we certainly can't separate what we do from what we get. Stop and think about that for a second. We can't separate what we do from what we get. Okay, so I talked about the motorcycle box. He says this, whatever fills the space between your ears will eventually escape the boundaries of your mind and show up in your life. Woo. Whatever you think about here will eventually escape this and will manifest in your life. Okay? The results you experience in sales, business, and life are not what? Accidents. They are a reflection of whatever is inside that box. Okay? You can't visualize and create one set of results in your mind and accidentally create a different set of results in your physical reality. Okay? So what are you thinking about? Some of you took my advice on the full-timers call. What did I tell you to do? A couple of things, right? I said you should take leaders boards and paste your picture on the top and write in the numbers you want and get it in your mind. You said, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Why? I'm not up there right now. You will be if you look at that long enough. When your subconscious mind begins to think you're supposed to be number one with big numbers, all of a sudden it starts working for you to create that, right? Okay? Your thoughts and beliefs are completely under your control. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm in control. Okay? Your thoughts and beliefs are completely under your control. Okay? And they are completely what? Your responsibility. Okay? What thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs are poised to come out of your box and create results? So what's the solution? Okay, what's the solution? Here's the solution. Everyone's business is a perfect reflection of what they have in their minds. For each person, there was only one type of business that could have been created, and it was not an accident. This, of course, means that you are entirely responsible for your business's quality and condition because you alone have 100% control over what goes in your box, in your mind, right? Even though some of its contents were put there when you were a child, one of your jobs as an adult is to choose what stays and what goes. That's why you're here tonight, right? You're choosing to put something in there that maybe you didn't get put in there. Not because they wanted to harm you, but because there was nobody who got where you wanted to go, right? So you got to get a vision for it. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich calls it auto-suggestion. What is that? Right? You got to suggest to yourself over and over and over again the reality that you'd like to have in your mind's eye. You got to be talking about it and thinking about it all the time. How many of you read Think and Grow Rich? Okay, the rest of you that haven't, go get that book. Okay? What to say when you talk to yourself? Dr. Shad Helmstetter, you know I'm a big believer in this, right? What we say to ourselves, statisticians and researchers say is almost up to 97% negative. Gosh, you're so clumsy. You look fat in that dress. Wait a second, my name's Brad Jackman, I'm not wearing a dress, right? Okay? But you talking negatively to yourself inside your head almost, I don't know if I'm going to close that deal. This is going to happen. This person's going to back out. I don't know. 97% of the time, right? So you got to get some self-talk going. Those of you who know me, I got a little recording I play on my phone. It's 5 minutes, 37 seconds long of me talking to me about where I'm going and who I'm supposed to be. Why? I understand the power of the subconscious mind. Y'all want to make $100,000 a month of residual income, take 5 months vacation a year, yes or yes? Okay? This is how I got there. I taught my mind to work for me so I didn't have to constantly be thinking about it, right? Okay? So here's a step. Number one, you got to get a vision. And it's got to be clear. In your mind's eye. God gave you an imagination and the ability to create pictures in your mind for a reason. Most of you don't use it. You don't use it. You got to see it before you create it. What is your vision? That's why I'm such a vision board freak. That's why I love pictures of all this stuff. You got to get a vision for it. Okay? Got to hold that picture in your mind. And if you got to, make some stuff, right? Make a leader's board. Cut your picture out and put it on there. And write your name in. You got to see it. Okay? Number one, get a vision. Number two is get a picture of that vision. Right? Get a picture of that vision. Some of you don't want to live in the home you're in anymore. Go walk through a new one. Some of you don't like the hoopty you're driving. Go sit in the dream car and get a picture of it in your mind. Get that vision of it in that picture. Number three is get a recording. Again, you might think I'm weird. Pruk, that's a little weird. Hey, Rich is weird, you all. Yes or yes? Rich is weird. Rich is weird. Everybody else is broke. Rich is weird. That's okay. I'm not ashamed to tell you I talk to myself every day. I have great conversations. I record myself talking to myself, and then I listen to it. Okay? You got to get a recording of it. Right? You got to record what you're talking about, what John Cooper was saying there. Right? You got to be recording. Man, I'm the best recruiter in this office. I'm the greatest recruiter in the state. I have the best team, the biggest team in the state of Michigan, in the country. I'm making this much money. I'm an RVP. Man, I'm a great father. My kids respect me. My kids, right? I treat my wife with respect, or my husband with respect. Whatever it is you want to have in your life, you got to get a recording of that and listen to it every day. Did you notice nobody else is telling you that every day? You walk into your job, they're like, hey, Mike, I just want to tell you, you're going to be a great dad one day. You're going to have an awesome business. Man, I know you're the best recruiter in the state. Everybody loves to do business with you. That happened today when you walked into General RV, didn't it? Your boss said, I just want to tell you that. Do you see what Shane Rudman was doing to me with that post? What was he doing? He was breathing those things into me. He was breathing those things, but that ain't happening nowhere else, right? So you got to breathe it into yourself. You got to write down, what do I want? You got to get a picture of it, and then you got to talk about it. Go get voice recorder on your phone, and tonight, make a recording of where you're going. And I challenge you to listen to it every day. Every day. How would your life be different? Every day, you had 5 or 10 minutes of you telling you how awesome you're going to be. Right? And number 4 is you got to get it out of your mouth. You got to start talking about it. What you talk about, you bring about.
That's good.
See, the power of life and death is in the tongue, the Bible says, right? Jesus said, right, you got to tell that mountain to be cast to the sea, believe in your heart and don't doubt it'll be done. Okay? What does that mean? You got to get a little bold. You got to start telling people about when you're going full time. You got to start telling people about your office. You got to start telling people about the car you're going to have. You got to start telling people about taking your spouse home off the job. You got to start telling people about how you're going to retire your parents. You got to start talking to your kids about how great they're going to be. I tell my kids every night, you're world changers. You're world changers. God, give them a big vision. Don't let them be average and ordinary. They're world changers. Let them serve, let them lead. I talk to them all the time. What does that mean, Dad? You don't need to know what it means right now. You just need to have that inside of you. When you're 25 years old, say, I'm a world changer. Where's that coming from? I'm a world changer. Dad put it there. Right? You got to get these things out of your mouth. You're creating your world with your words. What are you talking about? I had to reschedule. Guess what's coming? Right? Man, I'm so tired. Guess what's coming? Man, I don't know if I can keep going. Guess what's coming? Man, I'm above and not beneath. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm more than a conqueror. Everything I touch prospers. I'm blessed coming and going. I'm blessed in the city and in the field. Everything I touch, right? And you start talking that out. And guess what starts happening? Guess what's coming? All that's coming. Listen, what you're thinking about, you have. You want to change what you have? You need to change what? What you're thinking about. That's why it's so important to get around mentors, get in this environment where people who are where you want to go can teach you how they got there. And you start trading those thoughts of inadequacy, doubt, fear, negativity, and unbelief, and you pick up belief and strength and confidence and a future that's good and not bad. Right? Jeremiah 29:11 says what? For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for good and to give you a future. Right? You got to start speaking that out over yourself every day. That's what's coming for you all, right? You get your mind right and everything else gets right. Guys, I'm fired up. Listen, I'm fired up. I'm on my A game. Shane said when people start getting close to 1 million, they start slowing down. I ain't slowing down. I'm putting on the gas. Right? I got to get better. I got to get better. I got to get rid of my stinking thinking. 1 million a year, that's junk, right? How about 1 million a month? Dang, right? I'm like, Shane, man, you're making me feel like a piece of crap, right? And I'm like, give it more to me, right? I want to get my mind right, and you need to get your mind right. So who's going to have a phenomenal month end? Who's going to have a phenomenal month end? Who's going to deliver for those kids? Who's going to put their name, right? Listen, some of you think about, I'm going to do one. I want to challenge you to get that out of your mind. Why don't you do 3? What's the difference between you doing 1 and you doing 3?
Nothing.
2. Who said that? Is that me? There's always a realist in the crowd, right? That's what you're thinking about. It's what you're thinking about. Do I believe I can get that done? Do I believe I can get that done? Right? Some of you think, hey, this is all hocus pocus. Hey, that's all right. This ain't for you then. Right? That ain't for you. But some of you will listen to this and you'll start thinking about what you're thinking about. You'll get a vision. You'll get a picture. You'll get a recording. And you'll start getting those things out of your mouth. You'll watch your life start turning around really quickly in the direction it wants to go. How you guys feeling today? Let's give it up for some recognition.